In 1975, at the Daytona International Speedway in Florida, a television crew was following a cocky young Londoner who smoked, drank, chased women, and happened to be one of the fastest motorcycle racers alive. They came to capture his charm. Instead, their cameras captured one of the most horrifying crashes ever filmed. Flat out on the high banking, at roughly 175 miles an hour, the rear tire of his Suzuki let go. The bike threw him down the track like a rag doll and cartwheeled behind him, and the cameras caught every sickening moment of it. When they reached him, he had broken his thigh, his forearm, his collarbone, and several ribs. Doctors quietly wondered whether he would ever walk properly again, let alone race. 7 weeks later, he was back on a motorcycle. His name was Barry Sheene. And that crash, the one that should have finished him, was the moment he became a legend. This is the story of the most reckless man who ever raced a motorcycle, and why reckless is nowhere near a big enough word for him. Barry Sheene was born in London in 1950, the son of a race mechanic. He hated school, hated being told what to do, and spent every hour he could at a nearby circuit called Brands Hatch, watching, learning, and deciding that this was the only life he ever wanted. He was sharp, he was funny, and he was utterly fearless, a proper cockney with a grin that could sell anyone anything. And he rode like he had something to prove. He became a British champion at just 20 years old. By 1973, he had won the Formula 750 title outright, the first champion the series ever crowned. He was blindingly fast, and everyone could see it. But it was not only the speed that made people fall in love with Barry Sheene, it was everything around it. While the other riders wore black and kept their heads down, Sheene wore white leathers, carried the number 7 that became inseparable from his name, and painted Donald Duck on his helmet. He was a superstar in a sport that had never truly had one. He drank with the Formula 1 champion James Hunt and counted 2 of the Beatles among his friends. He was on the television, in the newspapers, on the front pages and the back pages at the same time. And then there was the cigarette. Sheene smoked constantly, and he refused to stop even in the final moments before a race. So he drilled a hole in the chin of his crash helmet so that he could take one last drag on the starting grid, visor down, seconds before racing a 500cc motorcycle at over 170 miles an hour. It became the single most famous image of him, and it told you everything. This was a man who would not be told how to live. The Daytona crash and the footage of it turned that local hero into a household name. An entire country had watched him nearly die and then watched him refuse to. He was back within weeks, and before that season was out, he beat the great Giacomo Agostini, a 14-time world champion, in a race so close the two of them crossed the line together. Then he did the thing the doubters had sworn was impossible. In 1976, Barry Sheene became 500cc world champion, the fastest man in the most dangerous sport on Earth. And in 1977, he did it all over again. He was so far ahead, so untouchable, that during the British Grand Prix, he held up a pit board to a rival that read, simply, "Gas it, wanker." Cheeky to the very last, even while making history. If you're enjoying this, take 1 second to subscribe. This channel tells the real stories behind the legends who built motorcycle racing, and there's a fresh one every week. But here is the part of Barry Sheene that the wild man reputation always managed to hide. For all his recklessness with his own body, he was fiercely, almost obsessively serious about the danger the sport handed to everyone else. In 1976, during practice for a Grand Prix, another rider named John Williams crashed and lay choking inside his helmet, while bystanders stood frozen, not knowing what to do. Sheene swerved past the wreck, skidded to a halt, sprinted back, pulled the man's helmet off, and cleared his airway. He saved John Williams' life with his bare hands, and he went to war on the tracks that were killing his friends. He campaigned loudly and relentlessly against the circuits he considered death traps. His greatest victory in that fight came against the most feared road course in the world, the Isle of Man TT, a race that had already claimed more than 100 lives. Sheene used his own fame as a weapon, and he helped force the TT to be stripped of its world championship status. The man who looked like he had a death wish did more than almost anyone alive to keep other riders from dying. His fiercest battles on the track came against an American you may already know, Kenny Roberts. Their duels became the stuff of legend. At Silverstone in 1979, the two of them left the entire field behind and fought each other alone, banging elbows and knees at around 160 miles an hour, with Roberts taking it by inches at the line. It is still remembered as one of the greatest races ever run. And then came the crash that even Barry Sheene should never have survived. At Silverstone in 1982 during practice, Sheene came over a rise at around 165 miles an hour and slammed straight into the wreckage of a fallen machine lying in the road. Both of his legs were destroyed. When they reached him, some feared he was already dead. Sheene himself was certain he was going to lose a leg. Surgeons rebuilt him with screws, pins and metal plates, and the X-ray of his shattered legs, bolted back together with hardware, travelled around the world. Anyone else would have retired on the spot. Sheene came back. He was racing again the very next year on legs full of metal, and in his final season he still climbed onto a podium before walking away from the sport in 1984 on his own terms, the way he did absolutely everything. He retired to Australia, chasing the sunshine, and became a beloved television commentator and a successful businessman. The reckless boy from London had grown into an elder statesman of the sport he had helped to define. And here is the cruel twist waiting at the end of it all. The man who had cheated death at 175 miles an hour, who had walked away from two of the most horrific crashes the sport had ever seen, was not beaten by a motorcycle. In 2002, Barry Sheene was diagnosed with cancer. He faced it exactly the way he had faced everything else. On his own terms, he refused conventional surgery and chemotherapy, choosing his own path and doing it his own way, right to the end. He died in Australia in 2003. He was just 52 years old. So was Barry Sheene the most reckless man who ever raced a motorcycle? He smoked on the starting grid. He partied with rock stars. He threw a fragile human body down racetracks at speeds that broke it again and again, and every single time he got up and did it once more. But look a little closer, and the recklessness was never the whole man. This was someone who saved a rival's life with his hands, who fought to shut down the deadliest race on earth, who was rebuilt with metal and came back to win anyway. What the world saw as a death wish was really its exact opposite. It was a man who simply refused in every corner of his life to accept the word impossible. He wasn't only the most reckless man who ever raced a motorcycle, he might just have been the bravest. If you want more stories like this one, the legends who rewrote motorcycle history and the lives they dared to live, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.